welcome to our TikTok. I am here with Bill and Dave, and I love, Bill, will you introduce yourself and tell us who you are?
Yeah, so Bill Brady, I'm one of the co-founders and the CEO of Troomi. My most important job is that I'm actually a dad to 5 phenomenal kids. And I love to point that.
Did they pay you to say that?
They didn't.
Oh, okay.
But I love to point that out because, like every parent in America right now with kids under the age of 18, we're going through all these questions in our home of kids and technology, and that brings some perspective.
Sure, for sure. How about you?
I'm Dave Preece. I'm also a co-founder of Troomi and the COO.
Don't be taking this title.
COO. I love Troomi. One of the reasons I love where we're going is I have a grandson. I have one grandson so far, and he's too young for a phone right now, but that won't last forever. I keep his picture on my phone to remind me why we're doing this. This is why we're doing this.
I love that. And I'm Sarah. I am the Director of Customer Support here at Troomi. And Bill, I love your story of like why you started this company with Dave. Let's tell the audience kind of that backstory.
Yeah, so Dave and I started working on Troomi about 5 years ago, and really out of a realization that as a society we were not doing a good job of introducing technology to kids in a responsible, healthy way. And in our different experiences, we've both had a lot of opportunities to work with kids and have always just been struck by the awesome potential of every child. You know, and every child has this world of potential ahead of them. And what a shame if the way we introduce technology inadvertently damages that potential.
Yes.
And we were standing back and saying at the time, you know, we were looking at the landscape, and on one side of the spectrum, you could give your kids a $1,400 iPhone that does anything and everything. And as a society, we're realizing that's not safe. And also at the time, on the other end of the spectrum, there were some other solutions that had come out, but they were so locked down as to be impractical for kids, and frankly, didn't provide a whole lot of help to parents. And we said, we can do this better. We can provide parents with a better solution for their families, and really set out to provide a safe environment for kids that would also provide parents with insight into how their kids are doing. And we'll get into a lot more of that, but that's Troomi.
Yeah, that's definitely what drew me to Troomi to begin with. Before I was even an employee, I loved the brand because you're helping kids use technology in a safe and healthy way, and I think that's really important. So Dave, what about your Troomi story? What drew you to this?
Very similar to Bill. We looked at the phones that were out there and the services that were out there, and we felt like there wasn't a service that provided air cover for a kid and let them mature commensurate with their maturity. It wasn't there. It was too locked down, or it was just, to Bill's point, giving it all away at once. So we figured that was something we'd like to do, so that when a child is ready to graduate to their own phone, they are very well what a Fisher looks like, a spammer, a marketer. They know what it is, and they can just step right into life and move forward. We also thought none of the services that were available were giving a parent a really good window into the child's digital well-being, into their digital world.
Yeah.
A parent was blind, and we'll talk about that more in a minute, but boy, that was really interesting to me, that we can provide clarity for a parent so they can make better decisions about the child's digital well-being and digital life.
Yeah, message monitoring and tracking was one of the most important features for me when I was first introduced to Troomi. So we'll get into those features in a little bit. But why does kid-safe technology and digital wellness matter?
Well, you know, there's actually a really poignant story that occurred early in the development of what we're doing that kind of typifies that. Because a lot of people will say, hey, you know, we're an Apple family. I can just turn on Apple controls.
I hear that so much.
And early in the development of our company, I was on the phone with someone who literally, he was a business contact, but he literally got emotional on the phone. And I said, hey, tell me what's wrong, what's going on? And he said, where were you 3 years ago? And he went on to tell the story of a 12-year-old boy at the time who had badgered for a phone. And his parents got him a flip phone. Great choice to start, you know.
I disagree that it's a great choice to start,
well, we'd
but
like to
yeah,
learn more
of
about
course.
that. Compared to the iPhone, it was a great
For
choice.
sure.
And then he badgered for an iPhone,
Yeah.
and they gave in. And he, as he told the story, he said 2 weeks later, my son was heavily addicted to pornography. 2 months after that, he was sending inappropriate pictures back and forth with girls at school. Then he got onto social media and was connected with a drug dealer. He got onto marijuana. And at the 6-month point, this young man was dealing drugs in the church parking lot during Sunday school.
That's insane.
And my friend said we went from having the sweetest family life you can imagine to a living hell.
Yeah.
And I knew him well enough that I said, hey, I feel really badly. I'm sorry that you dealt with all this. But let me ask you, why on earth did you not have the parental controls on that iPhone enabled?
Right.
And this is the poignant part. He said, Bill, I thought I did.
Yeah.
And they're just, some of these systems that out there are not infallible, and they provide a false sense of security.
Yes.
And so we stood back and said, hey, we're gonna do this a lot more effectively.
Yeah. No, that's so important. And what about you, like kid safe technology? Anything else that really draws you to that in digital wellness?
Yeah, just to dovetail off of what Bill said. Since that time, we've had parents that have had our phone and the software installed, and they have thanked us profusely because we've been able to prevent the child from sending inappropriate pictures
Right.
or receiving inappropriate pictures. And in some very sensitive cases, they've been made aware that the child was considering self-harm.
Yeah.
And we were able to alert them. Otherwise, they would have never known.
Mm-hmm.
And so we get that all the time. Bill, thank you for putting this together, because now I can see, I have clarity into what my child's experiencing in his digital world.
I'm glad you brought up the sending piece of that, because with our content filtering, we absolutely block anything that's inappropriate from coming in.
Right.
And you can set the sensitivity of that. So if it's nudity, automatically it's going to be
Right.
blocked. But even from there, you can set the sensitivity, which is pretty unique.
Right.
But it's not just the incoming stuff. You see in the news the tragic stories of kids who get extorted after they've sent an inappropriate picture of themselves.
It's true.
If with our content filtering turned on, they can't.
Right.
And
It's going to be intercepted.
And
Yeah.
nobody else does that.
Yeah. That's true.
And not only do we do that, so if a child tries to send inappropriate content, the person receiving it will not receive it, to Bill's point,
Mhm.
but the parent will get an alert, and it will say, your child just tried to send inappropriate content, and maybe you ought to have a conversation with them. And then the parent has the opportunity, which they never had before,
Yeah.
real time, to say, wow, Jimmy, we're gonna look at Jimmy's phone in a minute, but what are you thinking? Why would you do that? And it just promotes a really healthy conversation.
And I think that's what's so important about tools like the Troomi device, is to help parents really have those conversations. So the parent is looking at the parent portal, sees something concerning, and then they can go talk to their child about that concerning content.
One thing it does too is it's live. So if you were really concerned about your child, let's say they're texting at 10:30 at night, because you may not have turned off the ability to text after 10:30, you could, on your parent phone, without even going in your kid's bedroom and taking their phone away, you could say, oh, they're texting Johnny. I wonder what they're texting Johnny. Oh. And you could make a decision on, maybe I could talk to my kid in the morning about texting when they're supposed to be sleeping. And maybe, who is Johnny? Right.
In those day-to-day conversations, should something come up, you can have that real-time experience. But I think it's even a level higher than that too. You know, for a parent who's going to say, hey, we're going to do technology differently.
Yeah.
We hear from a lot of parents that the tools that we've provided gives them a chance to back up with their children and say, hey, here are the concerns. It's not just a rules conversation, it's a why conversation.
Yes.
And they can stand back and have a conversation about social media, for example, and the dangers that are there. They can have conversations about, you know, how pervasive predators are, and say, here's some of the safeguards that we're going to put in place so you don't have to worry about those things. Yeah. And when those why conversations happen from the start, it changes homes. It changes that dynamic of kids and parents bickering about technology. And that's part of our mission too.
Yeah. Like when my daughter was younger, she's 19 now, out of the house, but when she was younger, she had a conversation with some friends, and it was about a concerning topic, but I really loved the way that she handled the topic and the way she responded to her friends. And so I called that out with her, like, hey, you know, I saw that you guys were talking about this. I think you responded perfectly. So I like love to encourage them to have those conversations when you're talking about concerning topics or sensitive topics. You can really get into like, hey, you did a really good job then, and you can also talk to them about something that's concerning.
That's a great point.
On that point, that we also illustrate and demonstrate the positive things. So let's say your child is really interested in Scout Camp.
Right.
And they talk about Scout Camp with everybody. We instantaneously on the dashboard show you they're talking about Scout Camp. I just had a Troomi mom in my home on Friday, and she was excited that she could see what her kids were taking pictures of. They had just gone to Rome and Pompeii, and all the kids, there were 4 kids, and they all were showing me, Dave, look at what we did in Rome. This is the Vatican, this is Pompeii. And little Addie was like, oh, I hated Pompeii because it had dead people. But all the kids were able to, you could see the history. Yeah. I was shocked at how many pictures they took. And Mom said, oh, wow, I could just see what they're interested in by the pictures they're taking. And then the other thing she said is, I could see where my kid was real time. So my boys didn't have to go stay with us girls while we were shopping. Right. GPS in Rome, working real time. She could see where her boys were and and she could text them, right? Where are you?
Yeah.
You know. Anyway, there's a positive aspect to this as well that I think is it's really good for us as parents to know what is our kid interested in. What are they worried about? Maybe they're worried about math. Maybe they're interested in Bobby. Oh, who's Bobby? That's not a bad thing. Yeah. It's just, I kind of like, it helps us be engaged in their life.
Yes.
Who's Bobby? Oh, he's a kid I met in math class. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What do you like about Bobby? Right.
Yeah, having those conversations, I think is a really important part of parenting technology. But did you know that we are offering a special on TikTok Shop right now for $39.95 to buy the Troomi device. So it retails for $199, and we're giving it up for how much?
$39.95.
Oh my goodness.
And with a month of free service.
Oh, I forgot about the month of free service. That's so cool.
Is this a junk phone? Is it like a 2-year-old phone? Or is it?
No, it's not.
Is it got quality? I mean, what is it?
It is.
How can we give away something that's? What are we giving away?
Well, like I said, it retails for $199 because it is a Samsung A15.
Yeah.
And
wow.
that is one of the top of the line Samsung models for this price point.
You know, the last 2 weekends I've been at events in other states meeting families and talking to parents and talking to kids. And when kids were handling the phone, that was one of the first things they looked at. You know,
camera?
What's the brand?
Right.
You know, they're flipping it over, looking for a logo.
Right.
And pleased that it was Samsung.
Yeah.
And then looking at how many cameras are there on this thing. And then when I would explain, this is a 50 megapixel main camera, it was like the kids going,
okay, cool. I can do that. Cool.
Because the last thing that a kid wants is a kind of an off-brand phone with a a camera that's not going to do the job. So we're
100%.
we've used great devices from Samsung from the
Yes.
beginning, and this one is the A15. It's a new phone, so it's wonderful.
Yeah, like, well, speaking of, we've got one right here. Again, you can get this on the TikTok shop right through our link here. But this is a Troomi phone. This is brand new, so this is kind of the packaging it comes in right here with a nice Troomi orange. Dave got the
Thank
memo. He got the memo to wear the Troomi orange.
I actually held this up against my shirt this morning. I'm like, honey, is this Troomi orange? And she's like, almost.
Almost.
It's Troomi Peach.
It's Troomi.
It's super close. Like, we failed in our mission here. And then it's gonna come with this little thing to help you get started. And then, of course, we've got the Samsung A15 right here.
We are a partner of Samsung, and they work with us all the time. In fact, they're helping us with that price right there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's actually been pretty cool to see the companies that we work with get very invested because of the mission. They love what we're doing with kids and have gone out of their way to say, hey, let's help you do this.
Exactly. So Samsung's on board, and we do. So I get a lot of questions on the help desk about what the underlying network is. So we do partner with AT&T,
Yep.
and so if you have AT&T service in your area, your service with Troomi is going to be just fine.
So if you pull out your SIM card and you wonder why it says AT&T,
Yeah.
it's because we're running on those towers. We also partner with Helix, and we have other partners like Be Quick and others that are part of our ecosystem that just make it work.
Yeah, so here's the cameras that Bill was talking about. And it's a really, this looks like a very high quality phone.
So I gotta tell you, my kids obviously are Troomi kids, and my
What? Your kids have a Troomi phone? That's weird.
my 15-year-old daughter has used our product for going on 4 years now.
For sure.
And when she got this new phone, she took it out of the box and was like, whoa! Like, it was this moment of, this is gorgeous.
It
is a
is.
beautiful, beautiful form factor.
Oh,
It really
for
is.
sure.
It's slim, it's adulty, it's
Adulty.
it's adulty, but it's a serious phone.
Yeah,
Made for kids, made for the rough and tough of kid life.
yeah.
And our warranty is amazing. So they've got a great 1-year warranty on it, but you can get a 3-year warranty that covers front glass, back glass, all kinds of things. That's great. And
Yeah, we make that available because kids are kids.
Right.
Yeah.
They're gonna drop their phone at some point?
It happens.
they're gonna slap. We had those kids that were at my house. In fact,
Uh-huh.
one of the boys said, "Yeah, Dave, I'm sorry I broke my phone." I said, "Well, how did it break?" He said, "Well, he's a new driver. He's 16, and he got in the car and he turned on the car and shut the door, and the door would not shut. So he slammed the door again and again and again,
Oh, no.
and then he realized, oh,
It's so-
that was my phone." But he was covered.
Yeah. Thank goodness.
Hey, our one of our daughter's first Troomi phones got run over by the van.
Oh,
How
wow.
that happens,
Oh,
I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah.
And so it's cracked from top to bottom. I was amazed because it still could make a call. I don't know how, but yeah, we had to get it replaced.
Yeah.
But it was like just spidered.
Yeah.
Anyway.
We do offer an extended warranty so that you can purchase that as onto your plan every month. Do we want to talk about our 3 plans?
Sure.
What kind of plans can you get with a Troomi device?
So the plans are central to the whole concept of kids can evolve with when they're using a Troomi device. Our vision from the beginning has been to be the same phone that grows with your child. So for a younger kid, you might start them out on talk and text only. And the plan for talk and text only is $19.95 a month. That's it. And that includes the talk and text service, but it also includes all the safeguards inside Troomi. So you're getting contact safe listing. Whereas a parent, you're controlling who can reach your kid and who your kids can reach. And among other offerings out there, ours is hands down the most advanced in that regard.
Some of the other offerings just rely on the carrier. The no spam, that service, which is good, but we are better. We are clearly the leader, And if you don't have the contact on the child's contact list, no one can call them, no one can text them. It just doesn't break. And a lot of people, if you read other phone providers' star ratings, one of the biggest complaints is anybody can call my kid. I thought this was locked down. Ours is locked down.
Well, and that's where I was gonna go with the flip phone as an option for kids.
Yeah.
You're spot on. Yeah.
It's a terrible option for kids because it doesn't have that contact limiting. It doesn't have message tracking. It doesn't have all these features where, it can only call and text maybe.
But they can call and text with anyone.
But exactly. So
one of the things I've seen from other providers is you lock it down a little bit, but people get through all the time.
Yeah.
Especially they can leave voicemail.
Mm-hmm.
They can leave a voicemail. We've heard of some pretty nasty stuff that was left on voicemail, but no, we've got it covered.
Yeah, for sure. So you just talked about the do plan, but now let's.
And then our next plan, for you've taught your child about how to talk and text responsibly. They're learning. You're training as they go, and you get to that point of, hey, now it's time for group text and picture messaging. So MMS, if you've heard of MMS functionality, that's what that is.
And you can turn that on or off, right, Bill?
Anytime.
With one click.
You can go back and forth if you want to.
Yep.
But if you want the plan that makes it possible, that's $24.95 a month.
Super affordable.
And then most of our customers, frankly, are on what we call our Discover plan, and that provides everything. So it's your contact safe listing. Content filtering is available across all the plans. But in the Discover plan, you're also introducing the potential of a safe web browser. Some of our families just say, I don't want any browser, and that's great. By default, browser's turned off. But if you want to enable the Troomi Safe browser, you can do that. We'll talk about the second version of that that's coming out shortly.
So exciting.
And then you also get access to apps that kids need for school and hobbies and music and whatever those particular needs are. And Dave's going to walk us through how we've curated and put together a great collection of apps. But on that plan, that's only $29.95.
Crazy.
And that's the phone service and everything we're doing for the child on their phone and everything we're doing for the parent inside the parent portal.
Yeah, for sure.
What can you buy with $29.95? I just went to McDonald's the other day.
I was gonna say you can't even get food for your
my
family
wife
for
and
that
I went
much.
to McDonald's, and it was more than $25.95, $29.95.
Right.
So just think about it. What is it worth?
Yeah. So I'm getting a signal that we have some questions.
We had a question come in. They said, you're talking about content filtering. What exactly is that? Can you talk a little bit more about what content filtering is?
Yeah, I'll field that.
Yeah, go for it.
Content filtering is it's AI driven, and anytime there's texting going on, we evaluate the text based on the parent's recommendation. So the parent may say, for example, anytime my kid says crap, I want to know about it. Content filtering also allows a parent real time. They can look, we talked about it earlier, real time, you can look at what your kid is texting if you want to. If you want to be notified, content filtering allows you to get notified about any number of things. You can even choose. You could choose words or phrases. If your kid's being bullied, you can be notified. The content filtering, we talked about a little bit about if a child sends a text or tries to send a text or tries to send an image that's inappropriate, it gets blocked before it goes out. Before it goes out, and Bill kind of talked about that earlier, a lot of kids have sent texts with images that they shouldn't have sent, and it has had catastrophic effects.
Lifelong repercussions.
Yeah, it's a thing, unfortunately. If someone sends, let's say that you put someone on your contact list because your child came home and said, Mom, I want to have Bobby on my contact list, and Mom's in a hurry, puts Bobby on the contact list. We don't know Bobby, but even though the child's on the contact list, if the child if Bobby texts something to your child that's inappropriate, we block it. Unlike other people that just notify you after the child's been damaged. by inappropriate content. We blur it out before they get it. Does that answer the question?
That answers the question perfectly.
And I think you can turn on and off the blocking. So if you are okay with that kind of thing going through as your child ages and things like that, you can be notified still that it happened, but you don't have to block it.
That's true.
Well, and that's one of the trademarks of what we do is this easy, I call it easy flexibility.
Right.
You know, very, very, very flexible, customizable. And, you know, I've seen other products where, okay, there's a lot to customize, but holy cow, this is a nightmare.
Yeah.
And from day one, our focus has been on let's empower parents, give them the tools, make it flexible, but make it so easy. There was a lady actually with 9 kids,
Oh, wow.
9 children, and she got
It's impressive.
she got Troomi phones for 5 of them.
Wow.
And her comment when she left her review was, I just set up 5 phones in less than 30 minutes. This is too good to be true.
Nice.
When we
You know?
first started out, remember that survey we did? In the top 5, one of the biggest complaints was it takes forever to set it up. And we kind of researched that, but it was a thing.
Yeah.
And we were kind of surprised that the setup time and the time to maintain it. I mean, it was outrageous. People were not happy with other services that took just even an hour a month to maintain. Ours is easy. It's beautiful, it's easy, and to Bill's point, 5 kids, you can on one screen you just go, click kid 1, click kid 2, click kid 3 but it's a single click, and in your screen it just changes from child 1 to child 2, child 3, child 4.
Yeah.
It's slick.
Super easy. One other thing I wanted to just make sure is really clear about that content filtering. So there's the content filtering where we bring in the AI, but on any plan, and whether or not content filtering is enabled, all of our parents can have what's called remote text monitoring, where they can, you know, remotely keep an eye on things. And what's really unique about the way we do that is we do it in context. So you're actually looking at what it looks like the texting screen of your kid's phone. So you're seeing those conversations happen in the context in which they happen.
And you can see it live if you're really concerned.
And I think the context is super important because especially when you get a flagged message and you just see that snippet, it's taken out of context and you could get upset with your child. I can't believe you would say this to your friend, and then you're like, oh my gosh, did you see like everything else? Because that was totally a joke, you know, whatever, and maybe it was an inappropriate joke, but if I can see the entire conversation, I'm like, oh, okay, this really isn't that concerning.
And likewise, if it's something that, you know, looked dangerous, you can see, was this dangerous or not?
Yeah.
Right.
And right next to the text, guess what's right next to it? The images.
Yeah.
Right there. So you can see this text, these images were shared, or these videos were shared, or these GIFs were shared, or these, you know, whatever content was shared.
Yeah.
Even the emojis.
All right, another
So
question?
we're getting a couple of different questions about the internet and our browser. Steve asked, how do you guys handle the internet? And Gino asked, what phone browser do you use? Is it a Google Chrome?
These are awesome questions, and I'm glad they came up. So the internet is one of those questions where parents have a lot of different opinions. And we have a lot of our families that just say, you know what, I don't want my kids to have internet access. And we get that, and that's a great fit for some families. And by default, that's how a Troomi device is delivered, with no internet enabled. From the beginning, we've always felt like it's important that children learn how to do things safely and be prepared for the future. So up to this point, we've had a browser that is safe because parents can safe list or predetermine domains that are allowed for the kids. So they can open that browser, there's no search bar, they can't go searching for things, but they can choose from a list of domains that the parents have predetermined.
So if you had a school as an example, and your school had a website, you could put your school, lincolnelementary.com, in the safe list, and Troomi will not, we've got excellent engineers, you cannot get out of that domain. So you can browse and search and use that domain, but that's all. That's as far as you can go.
Yeah, like
No.
if you click a link in that domain to an external domain,
Yeah.
you would be blocked.
Yeah, the
No.
kid's got a little, whoops, it looks like that site's not allowed.
Right.
Yeah.
Bill, we've got something that's coming out that's like I can hardly even. Should we talk about it?
Well,
I mean,
before we get there, let's answer the Chrome question because we do have Chrome available, right?
So right now we have, as a kind of a secondary option, we have made it possible for parents to enable Chrome, and there's a specific use case that I think is really important. So like I've got my daughter who's in high school. If she's sitting at the kitchen table and is working on a term paper, and she might say, hey, can you open up Chrome for 30 minutes while I'm researching such and such? And I'll say, great, and I'll do that, and then put her, just one click, put her back on the safe browser.
exactly. And the key point is, you have total control. You can say turn it on now, turn it off now with one click. One click. It just turns it off, turns it on. Or you could say, yeah, you can use it for 30 minutes.
Right.
Right now.
Yeah.
And then turn it off. But Bill, we got something. I can hardly even. We got something.
He
really,
wants to talk about it so bad.
Let's talk about what's coming out in 2 weeks.
Don't give him a date.
Okay, it's coming out
Very shortly
soon.
in the new year.
Shortly.
So we've got the next generation of our safe browser. We call it the Troomi Smart Browser. And this is actually giving kids the ability to have a browsing experience without opening up a Chrome. In fact,
Right.
It gives them a browsing experience that's governed by AI. And it starts with parents just indicating what are the categories of content that they're not okay with.
Right.
And there's some obvious ones, right? Pornography, anything that would be considered adult, vulgarity. For some families, it might be certain kinds of political speech. Whatever those things are, just say,
Violence.
I
or
don't,
whatever.
violence, gore, for
Yeah.
sure. So I don't want this, and this.
And Bill, we boiled that up to an easy default solution, right? You can do it for children, tweens or teens. So we've kind of helped out in saying you don't want to go down and check all the little boxes on every single little thing. Fine.
Yeah, a
We've got
default set that you can then customize further if you want to,
Right,
for
right.
sure. And then the child can browse, and in real time, they can request a page, and the AI is vetting it. It looks at the page, it looks at that set of restrictions or standards from mom and dad, and says, does it meet this? If it does, here you go. And if it doesn't, it looks like that page is not allowed. That's awesome.
That is awesome.
What are kids asking for the most? What if a kid was mad about a Troomi device in the past? What one thing might that be?
So this is the biggest thing that we're excited about. It's YouTube. And every family in America who's saying, hey, we want to control content, but we also recognize that there's good content, YouTube is the conundrum.
Right.
Because, and I'll use my own boys as an example. There's some content creators. One is a guy named Mark Rober. And everyone I talk to knows
Everyone
about
loves
Mark Rober. And
We have the subscription box. It's fine.
we do too.
Yeah, all right.
Or Dude Perfect is another great one.
Yeah.
And so I won't let my children just indiscriminately surf YouTube ever on any device, ever. And with our new browser, I can actually open up the content from Mark Rober's channel without giving them YouTube.
Amazing.
So they can have
Game
Mark
changing.
Rober with no ads, no comments, and no links to other videos. And they're just getting his content inside of our browser. This is game changing for every family in America.
For sure.
We're excited about it.
So
Yeah.
how does it help a parent as far as a window into what their kid's doing? Can I see if my child, YouTube under these circumstances can be very healthy, but YouTube from 10 o'clock at night until 1 o'clock in the morning, maybe not so much.
Right.
We got that covered, right?
Yeah, so the new browser has really great reporting, and that is one thing our customers have been asking for a lot too, is with the Kids Smart Browser, they only have access to those websites that we've allowed. But on Google, when you open it up, like, I want to know what they're searching and things like that, So our new browser can give reporting on what kind of things they're looking at on the internet and what kind of things they're searching. I think that's so
So we can see what they're looking at, the drill down of what they're looking at,
right.
when they're looking at it. On a positive note, we can see what they're interested in. On a really good, what does Troomi even mean, Bill? How did you come up with that? That was your baby.
I didn't even know this until like I've been working here for a while. I'm like, oh, we need to get it out there way more. I love it.
So the name Troomi, comes from a reflection of true me, my true self. And it's this notion that our real lives are not lived addicted and enslaved by technology. It's using technology to reach our potential, finding our true selves, our true me. And we put that invented spelling on it to make it more interesting and just give it some layers of meaning.
Yeah.
So you can see in that window into their digital life, hey, they're interested in soccer or chess or whatever, horses.
Learning languages.
And it gives a parent the opportunity to say, you know what, I see that you are browsing about horses all the time. And maybe that's an opportunity. Hey, I know this guy named Dave that has some friends with horses. Maybe, you can, let's get out and.
Are you inviting our customers to?
I am. I am. If you know Dave, you can have an opportunity to ride a horse. but we think that is an opportunity for a parent to help the child figure out, what is your true me? What are you interested in?
And then when they get a glimpse of that, they can help them. So, if I discover that my son James loves astronomy, well, I can do some research and put together a list of websites and package those up so they're waiting for him inside his browser.
Yeah.
I can do that from the parent portal.
Yeah. And imagine if you're looking at your dashboard and you see they're browsing about a subject of horses. But then you also look in your content filtering and you can look at a glance and you can see the words they use the most, and you can see, oh, they're using horses. It's in bold print in the little word cloud. So there's a combination of things. You can look at the text they're sending individually and say, wow, why do you talk to Bobby a lot about horses? Well, Bobby's got a horse and I don't have a horse. I mean, there's so many positive things that we can spin out of this technology that helps us keep our kids safe. It also opens a window in who are they?
So we've got a lot more questions to get through. So let's hear another question.
We have a question from Brent and Chriselle. They asked, how old is your company?
5 years. We're coming up on our 5-year anniversary is just a few months away.
Amazing. We have another user that asked, what makes Troomi a better option than a Bark phone or the parental app?
I can answer that. I feel like Bark is a great company and they do great things, but we offer more clarity into what the child is doing in their digital world. We are crystal clear, and we very clearly, like we've said earlier, we prevent things from happening before they happen, not after they happen. So it's one thing to have a child have a bad experience because they got bullied at school or someone showed them an inappropriate picture. It's one thing to notify them after the fact, and it's a completely different thing to blur that, block that before it happens, and that's what we do.
Yeah, so and I can speak to because I have used a Bark phone and checked that out. And what I really like about our system as opposed to Bark is that we do offer the entire context. So Bark will alert you and give you that small snippet of what happened, and we have the full context. And additionally,
so you're telling me that I can see the text that alerted me as a parent, but I can see the text before that for a half hour and the text after that for a half hour and all the pictures that were shared in between.
Right, and that's on our system, we
Yeah.
can see that.
Yeah.
But with Bark, you get the concerning text and then maybe a sentence or two around the concerning text, but we've got full context.
Isn't that true among the other providers of Kids Safe phones as well?
There's one that I'm iffy on that may give you also the full context, but for the most part, the other safe options also just give you a snippet. And then, like, back to Dave's point as well, is with the content filtering enabled, you can block that before it even gets sent or received,
Yeah.
and that is not something that
That is-
they offer.
That is such a
It's huge.
differentiator.
It's
Yeah.
huge.
Yep.
Awesome. We have another question that said, does Troomi have unlimited texting?
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
I'm like, that's an easy one.
You can,
Yes, we
text
do.
until your fingers are purple.
Yep.
Awesome.
We've seen some far out examples of that where we're thinking you should text less.
Yeah.
No limit.
You can talk, you can text, and you can do with pictures or without pictures, with content or without pictures,
Yeah.
unlimited.
No.
Amazing. Someone said, is the process of porting to Troomi easy? I have a number that I really want to keep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tricky one. There is a process that's been standardized in the United States among carriers, because back in the day, some carriers are holding on to the number because they didn't want people to port out. But yes, we are as fast as it can happen. If you have your PIN from your existing carrier or provider, and you call us, we will port you so fast you won't believe it. But here's a tip: don't cancel your previous service until you've ported, right?
Yes,
Why
100%.
am I talking about this?
Oh, you
should be
should.
talking about this, because Sarah sees this that question comes in every single day.
Yeah.
Give us a tip on that.
Yeah, for sure. And so the one caveat is AT&T. Because we are an AT&T carrier, that porting process can be a little more complicated. So if you don't have AT&T, super simple. We can do it very quickly. But with an AT&T number, it might take just a little bit longer.
You're talking about the ban-in thing.
Yeah,
So-
nobody
so-
knows what Bannon
Yeah,
is.
so if I come from an AT&T carrier
Yes,
to us and we are AT&T,
correct.
it takes a little bit more work
Yes,
than if you come from Verizon or T-Mobile to AT&T.
yes.
So, I mean, what is the average coming from, let's say, Verizon?
Yeah.
If you're coming from Verizon and you've got a carrier that's on, a kid safe phone that's on Verizon, how quick can that happen?
Usually same day, yeah.
Can
We're
it happen?
very quick.
Okay.
Awesome. Lindsay asked, when should I give my kid a phone?
You know, Bill, you've got the youngest kids.
Yeah, and this is one of those questions that we literally get asked every day.
Same.
The truth is, there's not one answer that fits every family, and I also don't think it's an age question.
No,
I think
it's
it's
not.
a maturity question.
Correct.
So I always counsel parents to make it an intentional decision. Look at the really practical needs that you're looking to meet with the device. And for some kids, those needs might come at an earlier age. And I think a common example is if you've got parents living in different homes.
Yep.
And that child needs to have a device, that's going to be a younger age. If the child is involved in extracurricular things at a younger age, that might come at a younger age. But really look at what are the needs that are being met, what's the maturity of the child to start with a limited experience and grow and just make an intentional decision.
Bill,
Yeah.
I would add to it, how important is it that the parent be involved, right? So we, Troomi, are providing you a window into your kid's digital life, but you gotta look at the window. So if you're not engaged as a parent, I think you have to be engaged as a parent. So if you are willing to engage and to look at the window once in a
Yeah.
while, it's beautiful, it's a beautiful view, but if you're not willing to look at it, I'd say your kid's not ready. What do you think?
I was on a podcast recently and this subject came up and I said, there's no technology that takes away the responsibility of parenthood.
Uh-huh.
We're not trying to displace the parent, we're trying to empower the parent
Yes.
and give them a tool that comes with phenomenal visibility and the resources to manage that experience easily without stress. But it doesn't take away the need for parents to be parents.
Yeah, we want you to see the safety part of it, the negative things, and the positive things. It's huge.
Yeah, for sure. Do we have more questions?
We do. We have another one from MacArthur. He asked, can teens to young adults use Troomi?
Absolutely. For all the reasons we just mentioned, you can, I think you look at Troomi as a phone that grows, to Bill's point, commensurate with their maturity. So you can unlock it. You can start with nothing but SMS, very few apps. You can upgrade it, have the apps they need, and not the apps they don't need.
Well,
You
go ahead.
keep going, yeah.
No, a couple of markets that I didn't necessarily realize until I started working here is vulnerable adults. Have a really good experience with Troomi, and senior citizens also have a good experience with Troomi.
We've got hundreds of senior citizens
For sure.
or vulnerable adults that
Vulnerable
are
adults,
yes, thank you. They are using Troomi now.
They are absolutely using Troomi now, and they are really benefiting from the safety because, you know, people will call, like, my grandparents, I'm sure your grandparents, and try and scam them all the time.
I had very poignant experiences with my own parents.
Yes.
And just people going after them, yeah.
We've got a very close friend that has Troomi for their mom.
Right.
And she called one day and said, my mom keeps giving away her credit card.
Yeah.
She keeps giving away her social security number. Do you think Troomi would work for her? And it did.
Yeah.
So.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
so really all ages are available for Troomi.
But for those ages, absolutely.
Amazing. Okay, we have another question. They asked, what benefits have you seen from kids using a Troomi phone?
I have to answer this with a story.
Oh, let's hear it. Story time.
It's actually pretty close to me. So early on, we actually got a letter from a girl, a handwritten letter. Who does that anymore, right? A handwritten letter that began very formal. Dear Mr. Brady, and she began to tell her story. My name is so and so. I'm 14 years old. I live in New York City. I have to tell you my story. I got into trouble with my iPhone. She didn't detail that. We know some of those things that go on. And my mom took my iPhone away for 2 months, and she said, I thought I was going to die. And then she explained, after 2 months, my mom said, it's time for a second chance. Here's a new phone. It's a Troomi phone. And then the girl said, and when I realized it didn't have social media, I thought I was going to die. But then she said, I'm writing to tell you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I didn't know I could be this happy. That was awesome. And the truth is, statistically, 73% of kids recognize that being on social media, being on phones all the time, actually erodes their mental health. 73% acknowledge that, but they feel trapped by it. And so we get these stories of kids like this wonderful girl in New York City who gets out of that trap and goes, oh, that feels a lot better.
We know that as adults,
Yeah.
don't we? From our own experience. On a positive note, let's open the topic of Troomi. So just the other day, we've introduced some new technology, and we've got comments about how great Troomi is. Troomi's an AI that can help a kid answer lots of questions. The question might be, I've got a test at school today and I didn't study and I'm a little stressed. What can I do? Or the stress, it may be, you know what, I'm feeling kind of down because it's been snowing for 5 days, right? And
Was that me? Did I
I
send
think
that in?
and then there's, but Troomi, this AI, one of the things that we're very pleased about is many kids have told us, I love the positive messages that Troomi gives me, periodically. So Troomi might just say in the morning she just is on the contact list. She's just like a normal contact, and I'm calling it a she. The AI Troomi, who's kind of cute on your contact list, red hair, young. She may say, is it okay for me to say she?
Sure.
It seems so impersonal. So I'm going to call her a she. Troomi may say, hey,
I
Dave,
say your AI friend.
my AI friend. She may say, good morning, Dave. It's a great day. You have 24 hours to do anything you want. What are you going to do today? One of the things we really like, and what people are saying, parents are saying, she makes my kid think critically. So she says, if a child says, yeah, well, I'm really stressed about this math test. And Troomi says, well, why are you stressed? And the kid may say, I didn't study. But Troomi's really helpful. She's saying, well, do you have any time before the test? Well, yeah, I've got about an hour. Well, Troomi would say, maybe if you just did a little focused study right now, it might help. But in the future, you'll feel less stressed if you got the study done beforehand, right? Bill, what do you think?
Yeah, you're spot on. Kids can ask Trudy questions anytime. I also love that Trudy will present conversation starters, and they're always positive. You know, Sarah, what are you excited about today?
Right.
And you know, a child could respond with, you know, my sister's coming home for the Christmas holiday, haven't seen her in 3 months, and you know, Trudy would then have a conversation about that excitement in anticipation. If you weren't in a good place, you could also say that, you know, I'm not excited about anything right now. Mom and Dad have been fighting, I'm under so much stress from that I can't sleep at night. And then Trudy would have a very safe, guardrailed conversation about those emotions.
What if that conversation approaches what we've defined as potential self-harm?
Parents will be alerted immediately. If a child ever hinted at something like that.
Yeah.
What I like about Trudy too is you guys have all graced kids, right? When they come home from school, you're like, how was school today? They're like, fine. Right? But instead, yeah,
Fine.
great.
Yeah.
But instead, Trudy's asking them these questions where it's getting them to like think about stuff in a different way. And you can say, oh, you know, what did you talk to Trudy about today? And instead, you might get that. Yeah.
Yeah, so as a parent, if you're concerned about the conversation that Trudy's having with your child, you can see it anytime you want, full context, and you can see it live. But back to your critical thinking thing. We've tested this, and parents have tested this, and we're live with it. But as an example, a child may ask this question, which happens all the time. My mom is a Democrat. My dad's a Republican. And they both say it's the only way to be, Democrat or Republican. And Trudy, what should I do? And Trudy will say, well, how do you feel about both of those Democratic or Republican parties? How do you feel about it? So it makes the child think. And the child answers, you know, the child answers and Trudy responds, and I love that.
Yeah.
Very cool. What else do you have for us?
All right, we have 2 more questions. We have one question that came up that said, what exactly is the parent portal? Do you want to talk on that one?
Should we show an example?
Yeah, we've got it. I don't know how well it's going to show up on your screen here on TikTok, but we have this awesome parent portal. It's a website, so it's not an app that you would install, so you can access it from any device. You can access it from your iPad or your Samsung phone or your computer, and it's going to give you, this is a great, like, I think they can see this a little better than the TV.
So right now I'm logging in, and it's asking me for, it says your session has expired.
It's just 2-factor authentication. It's okay. We've got the GPS.
Oh, you've got it.
Like, I'm like, we got it. We're good.
Oh, that's better than that.
That's what.
Yeah, so at a glance, you can see where your child's located. If you scroll up, let's just stop right. Go back to the bars. That one says
Text usage.
Text usage. So who can I see there? Sarah, why don't you read it? You're close.
Yeah, no, it's fine. So if you tap into the text usage, you'll see most frequent senders, like who they're talking to the most. And what I love is this word cloud. Again, this is a Troomi exclusive. We've got this word cloud that'll kind of give you a window, because who has time?
It immediately lets you know how your kid is doing.
Right.
And just based on the words they're using.
And you can see it in the last day, today and yesterday, the last week, the last, you can pick it. So what's that little purple bar? If I'm looking at that,
we can see text frequency. So who's your child texting with the most? You see a bar graph on that?
So at a glance, I could see, that big bar graph is Billy, and I could say, hey Jill, who's Billy? Right? And then a conversation that helps. That's that window into the digital world.
And from there you can click and just go look at those conversations.
Look at it, exactly.
Yeah. So you can go look at the conversations.
Right, yeah. So in the big picture, the parent portal is the epicenter for managing the phone. So parents from any device on any platform can set all the settings for their kids' phones super easily.
You're telling me I thought you were Android based. I thought we were Android based.
We did it as a web app, so it's just easy to do.
So
this piece is done from any.
If I have an
on any
iPhone
device.
as a parent, it's cool.
You just open the website. Yeah. You don't need to install an app or anything.
So it's the control center, and it's also the visibility center. So all the different dashboards about texting, dashboards for the content filtering, dashboards for Troomi, dashboards for the website, all of that boils up into one easy
Can we show them when it's being texted?
Yep.
Yeah, I think you just need to scroll up, I think. Go back.
There we go.
I'm like, just
Oh,
keep
yeah,
going.
okay.
I had to keep
I'm like,
scrolling.
that's all.
So let's just say that big bar right there was from 10 o'clock at night until 6 in the morning.
Luckily, this one's from noon to 3.
Yeah,
We're
okay.
good.
Noon to 3. This is, I'm glad you can't see it. This is actually my
Yeah.
daughter's yeah, so noon to 3. Today my daughter sent 38 texts to 5 different contacts.
There you go.
And I could dig in and see who those were.
Yeah.
And to Dave's point, I mean, we have her texting turned off after 9 o'clock, because you can do that. You can set the window of availability and a timer for any feature or function of the phone. So I'd be really shocked if I saw texting in the middle of the night. But, you know, if your child were texting at midnight to 3 a.m., you'd go, whoa, something's not right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can see when they're texting, when they're calling, when they're browsing, when they're using apps, all of that stuff I can see.
It's the control center and the window into your child's digital life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next
And
question. Oh.
I would be as bold to say that no one else can do it like we do. We haven't seen it.
Our parent portal is beautiful.
Amazing. Our last question is, what are some goals Troomi has for 2025?
Oh, Bill, that's a
let's
CEO
end on it.
question.
Let's end on that. So we got a ton of cool things that are coming.
Well, the browser for sure.
Some of the things we can't talk about, some of the things we can talk about, tease with, but the browser that we talked about earlier, that's an early release coming up here in January. We'll be doing more and more to help parents understand how their kids are doing. You know, if you look at the problems that we're trying to solve as a society, you know, kids and digital safety, this technology question, but you cannot decouple that from kids and mental health. And you know, some researchers have said we're in the midst of the biggest mental health crisis our country has ever seen. In our kids, they're on the losing end of that. And so you'll see us doing more and more to help kids stay positive and confident and vibrant and thriving, and while we give parents more and more insight into how their kids are doing.
Also, one of the things you and I have talked about is sleep deprivation. Something as simple as that. It sounds so simple, but how do we help? I mean, how much does sleep deprivation affect?
Sleep has everything to do with health.
That's the thing I'm always.
And we know that
Yeah.
know that as adults, right? When was the last time we kind of pushed our Sunday night till too late, and then Monday morning we're a bit groggy?
Yeah.
But we've got the window into that, right? Can we just please talk about what is the? We have something that people call in all the time at the help desk and ask about.
I'm like, there's lots of things people call in and ask
There's
about.
one thing in particular that they're looking for. There was a couple of the top 3.
I know what it is.
We've talked about one of them. We've solved the app a wider array. So some of our competitors,
I know
they
what
have
you're
1,000
talking about,
apps,
yeah.
and some have 1,200 apps. We have thousands, over 5,000 plus. But there's one other thing they call in about.
So the way the Troomi mobile data works is that most of the apps are not available when you are not connected to Wi-Fi. Do we have any plans to change that?
Bill, I'm going to let you put your.
Yeah, so we're introducing some data plans here early in 2025. One of the reasons that we had apps run off of Wi-Fi, except for the ones that had to have cellular data, like Google Maps obviously wouldn't work without it. But for the big data usage apps, they've been on Wi-Fi, partly for, again, parents' control and the safety factor, and partly because that whole data question that's one of those things that parents hate fighting with kids about. We are introducing some new data plans, but with more flexibility and parent-mindedness than you've seen anywhere else.
Yeah, so the biggest complaint And the other thing that parents hate about data plans is what? The cost.
Yeah.
And it's the thing that costs the most. So when we're negotiating talk, text, and data, it's always the data that is the most expensive. Everybody knows that. But we figured out a way to offer data in ways that have never been done before. I think we should keep that in the box.
Let's not, yeah, let's,
Yeah.
you've teased it, let's leave
So
it there.
if you're-
It's awesome.
Put
So-
it back in the Troomi box.
If you're a parent that's either bought a phone or it didn't buy a Troomi phone because you thought it didn't have a data plan, it is coming like a choo-choo train. It's coming fast, and you will love it. It is better than anything out there, and with our great partner, AT&T
Right.
and Helix, we've got pricing that is to die for.
Yeah, I totally agree. So speaking of pricing that's to die for,
The phone, right now on TikTok Shop, get the Troomi phone. It is a Samsung Galaxy A15 that we usually sell for $200, and right now you can get it with a month of free service even for $39.95.
it's
It's got a
crazy.
50 megapixel camera, which is what kids really look for, is what's the camera quality. And it's got a beautiful form factor that, doesn't look or feel like a kid's phone in any way. It's a beautiful Samsung phone. So $39.95 and a month of free service right now.
And they get the apps they want.
Most of
we didn't really talk about
Mike,
apps enough.
Well,
we did not.
We've got
Yeah.
like over 5,000 apps plus.
But what kind of apps are we blocking for
So,
parents?
when it comes to Troomi and apps, we don't do any apps that are pornographic, adult content in any way. We don't do social media. That's a hard line that we draw because so many of the problems with the kids get into, whether it's just from a safety perspective or a mental health perspective, begin with social media.
So that's kind of tier one. We have several tiers, right? What you just said, we will not allow any apps on the phone that have the criteria that you just mentioned.
And then on top of that, we've created this great collection of apps that are requested by parents, that are popular with teachers, that we've screened and filtered down to, hey, here's a great collection of apps. Some of those have a little Troomi badge stamp of approval on them. They've been just thoroughly vetted by
Manually tested
manually
by
tested
my team.
by your team.
And the reason we had to do that is because we get from our app providers.
Yeah, this is alarming.
This is really alarming. There's 3.3 million apps available on the Google Play Store. But when we just pare it down, just with the things that Bill said, no adult content, no gambling, no dating sites, no.
In-app browser, advertising.
When we pare it all the way down, there's a lot of mislabeled apps. So we're down to 100 or so that we have looked at ourselves that we know don't have in-app browsing, in-app messaging, in-app texting. They don't have ads and user-generated content.
Right.
But one thing I really like, Bill, is I had a parent who has been with us from the beginning. They were number 2, and they're still with us with 4 kids. And their oldest son left us because he didn't have access to this one-off app at his swimming pool. Now that app, whether it's a 5-star app or a 3-star app or a 2-star app, he needed the app because she was tired of him coming to her phone and saying, "Mom, I need to log my time." So that person left Troomi because we couldn't provide it.
And now we can.
That person would not have left Troomi
Yeah.
now, but how does that work?
So as you're looking for an app inside your parent portal, you've got the Troomi App Store that you're browsing as a parent, and you can select apps to make available on your child's phone. If there's an app that you need that's not in the collection, we actually give the ability for you to search a specific app from the Google Play Store and say, you know what, I know this isn't in Troomi's collection, but I need to make this app available for my child.
And we will do that as long as it's not adult, it's
Right.
not gambling, it's not social media, and it's not violent in any way, shape, or form.
That's correct. That's been a game changer. Our parents love it.
Yeah, and to your point a little bit ago, Google will say this app does not have ads, and in our manual testing, we open it up and 2 seconds into using the app, there's ads popping up already.
So
yeah.
statistically, for every 1,000 apps that we tested, we found 1,500 mischaracterizations.
Yeah.
That's alarming.
Right.
So Google, we're giving you the feedback.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. This has been awesome. Thank you, Sarah and Dave. This has been a great time to talk through Troomi with everyone. One last call. Right now on TikTok Shop, get the Samsung Galaxy A15, our Troomi Phone Pro, for $39.95 and a free month of free service. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.